Hey, how's it going? This is Christie. Sorry, I had to look at my phone because my computer was being an asshole. So, welcome to Lunch Hour. I'm with Travis Gibb of Broke Down and Four Dead Bodies here, and I put the window like right here so that I could gesticulate. Well, right now for the Kickstarter for Demon Bitch Off the Wagon Panhandling Tour, we're looking at 3,054. And we got 14 days to go, and that's a great thing. But yeah, please share and all that, and enjoy the lunch hour. I'll be drawing some new and original art of Demon Bitch of her ostensibly doing something stupid. And here's Travis Gibb, and I will go ahead and put us up. So, hi, how's it going? Let me go minimize that because I am limited in window space. So, hey, Travis,
Hi.
how's it going?
Good. How are you?
Doing good, actually. I'm just managing the Kickstarter. You just funded about, what, an hour ago?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, an hour ago I got funded, which is really really cool.
Oh, awesome. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just great. I mean, it's like weird because like we were just talking about the aches and pains of like getting our Kickstarter funded and everything. So that's been pretty crazy. But yeah, so just tell me
Well,
how. Oh, go on. Sorry.
sorry.
Oh, no, it's good. So tell us like what's Broke Down and Four Dead Bodies about. I mean, you told me and it's evident in there, but tell them because you are the creator
Yeah,
and they want to
yeah,
hear
yeah,
that.
absolutely. Well, first we gotta address the elephant in the room. The so how do you feel like with your comic exploiting such sexy women like Demon Bitch? She's such a attractive woman, and you know that's such a big draw, and you're just addressing stereotypes. How do you live with yourself dealing with that?
Because I'm a woman and I've dealt how women are kind of horrible to each other. I started just fucking drawing a comic, but like okay, unfortunately, and I'm pretty sure you heard this from your kids. Like you have two daughters,
Right?
you kind of hear it. Okay, unfortunately with us kids, like they say, "Oh, men are buttholes to women." It's like, "Okay, I've run into that." But when you have women being friends to each other and they're supposedly your best friend, and then they stab you in the back and do all sorts of shitty, fucked up things to you, it's like worse than any other dude because you're sort of betrayed because here's a woman that says, "I'm your sister in arms. I'm the same gender. We're in it together." And then the ones that seem to scream the loudest about it are the worst people to you.
Right.
And it's really terrible. Like, I even had a girlfriend that would curse every one of my relationships. Like, she would just say the meanest things. I mean, she didn't do it to just me, but other people.
Right.
But then she'd be like, well, how do you come and care about a man so much? But then when it sits down, hey, Tommy, hey, Rose, what ends up happening is that they end up getting married or in a relationship, and that person is their life. So it's that
Right.
weird hypocrisy. Or women that would just go in out of their way to fucking backstab you. So I created Demon Bitch because it was based off a girl I hated. And it was just a girl that was so attention seeking and so crappy to people that you just couldn't believe it. And she wasn't very intelligent, but somehow she managed to get away with it because I guess she was young and cuter. But I mean, now she's older, and that's a lot less cute when you're becoming an
Right.
adult. Like, I mean, maybe if you change up the mode a bit, like, but what I notice women getting away with is like, I'm helpless, I'm upset, I'm cute, and I'm young, and I'm an ingenue. But then there's this big gap in between where they don't really get any pity unless they play like a wildly crazy victim all the time. And then when they hit old age, they say, "Oh, I'm old. You can't do anything. I'm old. I'm old," or something. So Demon Bitch is based on this person, and what this person did. One of the things she likes to do is go online and say, "I have Crohn's disease." Now,
Right.
Crohn's is hard. Like IBS, Crohn's, and everything, they're very hard to detect, right?
Right.
They're very it's very very hard to diagnose. But the thing is that I became friends with the other person that knew her, another person that knew her and hung around her a lot more in recent years. I don't talk to this individual anymore, but the
Right.
friend, we talk. Peekaboo demon bitches. Hey Quentin, how's it going? I say hi to my guests every so often. So what ended
You
up
do it.
yeah, what ended up happening was is that I found out how she got her Crohn's disease, and you can't get Crohn's disease this way, by the way. But she would do 30-day benders on cocaine and Jack Daniels all the time. And understandably, after all that, she ended up in the emergency room. And then she would go online, take a pathetic picture of herself, and say, "I have Crohn's disease."
Ah.
And I'm going like, and I actually looked it up because I was kind of wondering what, cocaine usage did. What surprised me is like one of the things that it will do to you is have ischemic bowel. Now, if you guys don't know what that means, is that your bowel will die because all the blood vessels constrict because that's what
Right.
cocaine does. And I also found out from my brother-in-law's brother, because he's a surgeon and he's had to operate on people, apparently meth and cocaine, they go hand in hand and they're partners in disaster. They're BFFs. So usually when people have done a lot of cocaine and they get to a point, they will start doing meth. And as we know, both drugs on their own create really, really horrible life choices.
Right.
So that's where Demon Bitch comes from. It's just essentially making fun of all the girls that were ever mean and terrible to me.
Yeah, my wife has a saying. She's like, the problem with women is they don't want a relationship like yours. They want yours. They don't want to make something similar and find someone who has those qualities. They want what you have, and they don't realize that if they get what you have, then it ruins what they liked about it.
Oh, that's like Bed Hopping Horse. Okay.
Right.
So Bed Hopping Horse is about women that I've seen that are vegan, clean living, positive, right? And they go around and fuck married dudes. And it's like, and I just like simply put it in like, go and find a stable man. Find a man that's married. And it's like, no, that's not how it works. It's like, but he has kids and he has a home and he has a wife, so he's the most stable guy, so I should hook up with a married guy. It's like, no. But it's like that, it's like women that are kind of perpetually homeless, quote unquote, but they shack up with a married dude, destroy the marriage and everything, and then they suck him dry, and then they go on to the next one. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a mess, but yeah, my wife hates women for the most part. She has a few she likes, but she hates most of them.
Oh yeah. I understand that. I would like to meet your wife and say hello. I understand. Like, I actually did have an ex-friend, and I stopped being friends with her before that, but she's the one that's Egg Lady, and she was a lawyer, and she would just kind of be like this. She was the one that would curse relationships, and now she's married to a guy, and she was Jewish Italian, but affected being Salvadorian, and she was so Latina, which was weird. And then she would speak fluent Spanish. She would speak it all the time. I mean, I understand Spanish for the most part, but she would speak it all the time. And then she was an immigration lawyer. She's like, I always fight for justice and all that. And I found out about a year ago, I had stopped talking to her for about 3 or 4 years, because I just said, you know what, you're an ass, because she would just kind of snipe at me. And after a while, I'm like, you're a jerk. And actually in college, she actually introduced me to a guy that would assault me. So that's mess. And like after all that, I was like, I just realized that you're an asshole.
Right.
It's not like you're dumb. You made a mistake. You deliberately. I mean, she would do it to other people too. It wasn't just me. But I found out actually about a couple of years ago she got disbarred. And why she got disbarred because she would take money from people that were immigrants and not represent them. Like, she would never tell them the court cases. She even lied to a judge about them showing up or anything. Hey, what's up, Quentin? But they would not show up. Hey, Brian, what's going on? She would not tell him when to show up in court. She even told a judge that the guy couldn't come because of transportation issues, which was not the case. She would never send out letters, and whatever letter she had on file said in English, hey, if this is in English, but it's your responsibility and cost to go and translate it. And I'm like, here you are advertising your business as Spanish. What the fuck is wrong with you?
And as I'm a web designer, and I know several Spanish immigrant lawyers who that's a big thing. And it's maybe just because we're so close to Miami, but like that happens all the time. I've had clients, websites that I've had to take down because, hey, this person's shady, and we have to remove them, like for court ordered, remove their site from online because she can still get money or he can still get money. Crazy stuff.
Yeah, it's really messed up. And it was like, I mean, she was such a liar. She said, I have a hot tub. And then I happened to see a picture of it, and it was like literally a blue tub a blue inflatable pool from Walmart. So, I mean, right now.
She wasn't a good lawyer.
She wasn't really that good of a lawyer. It's kind of funny because I had we had a mutual friend, and I found out his wife worked in the same courthouse as her. And she said everybody hated her. She was slow. She dragged on. She would never have her paperwork together. It was like crazy. So it's like this. Yeah. So Demon Bitch. I mean, we have you on as a guest, but yeah, Demon Bitch is basically a culmination of women that are just really terrible to each other. And it was just really awful. Well,
I was just talking about how hot she was, and you don't want to be, J. Scott Campbell, and doing those sexy women, that's it's going to get you in a wrong category. You're exploiting her sexiness.
Yeah, like, right? I mean, Demon Bitch, like, everybody wants her. I mean, like, I even made a joke, like, hey, I'm about 475 to goal. I'm sure Demon Bitch will be stupid. She just needs to get hooked up with 475 guys at $1 a piece, but she'll probably pull that stupid BOGO shit on me. So yeah, I mean, Demon Bitch is just, she's one of those people that thinks everybody wants to fuck me, but then she's got this deep hole of sadness and rejection that's so terrible. Hey, Denise, how's it going? So Denise is also, she's a writer, and her husband David illustrated, I think it's called Nippoloni, and it's like one of the worst stories I've ever read. And when I read it, I was just dying of laughter. And what it was that it was Demon Bitch is so nasty, you know how she's dirty and unhygienic. Hey, Steven. And then what it is that one time she peels off those X pasties she has, and since she's so crusty, her nipples get torn off along with it.
Oh.
And so she has to find new nipples, so she goes rooting around in the garbage can and finds like old pepperoni, and so it's really bad. So when you get the book, I think like when you get the book, you'll see that whole story, and it's disgusting. So it's like, it's fan art, it's stuff. Oh, Brian's like, my wife would love this. Thank you, Brian. Yeah, go ahead and go to the Kickstarter and everything. And the link's up there in the main thing. You can go ahead and contribute, and I would love that. That would be great. And tell all your friends. And if you have friends that have run Kickstarter, I mean, I'm not just doing this for Travis, but everybody else. Like, I want people to come on and spread it, because I want to go and put our worlds together, kind of like Marvel, and that shit.
Nice. So was that Brian Winslow?
Yeah, that's Brian Winslow. Yeah.
Yeah. Brian's a good dude.
Yeah, Brian sounds like a good dude. If he thought my wife would love this, then there you go, right? So let me go ahead and get your.
He's got a cool wife too. His wife does comics in the classroom, which is an initiative
cool.
Gets comic books in the classroom and use it. Their example is like X-Men God Loves, what is it, Human Kills, like something like that.
Yeah.
Where Magneto kind of talks about prejudice, and they use that to talk about it, because it's a lot easier to talk about mutant being prejudiced than a black and white issue.
Yeah. Well, it kind of makes me feel like I think of Avenue Q, where they say you're a little bit racist.
Right.
It's like, you're a little bit racist. Well, you're a little bit too. It's like, it's funny because Don Wen. He's it's funny. I mean, he also has a pinup in there, and Don's great. Like, he hoes this shit out. He understands of hoeing it out. So I'm also putting your link in and pinning it permanently. So if you guys want to go and check out Travis's thing, he just funded.
We'll talk about it eventually, but we're talking about Demon Bitch now. So wait.
Wow, everybody's like, oh, you got to really talk about Demon Bitch. I'm like, all right, I aim to please. Okay, with Demon Bitch, all right. Sorry, I'm just like, oh man, it's like. But yeah, so Demon Bitch, it's like funny with Demon Bitch, it's like, she comes from a period of like, everybody wants to fuck me, but they have this deep hole of like, I hate myself. And I've been finding that weird dichotomy in people, like people that like act so, I wouldn't say confident. If you're healthily confident, this is not it. But I noticed that the people that are really selfish, really mean, egotistical, they have deep down inside, no one loves me, nobody cares about me, I am alone. And they keep operating from this empty hole of I need constant attention. Now, you wanting attention and you wanting credit for what you have, I don't think is bad. Like, for me, I mean, I'm drawing Demon Bitch. I'm fucking putting out the fucking Kickstarter like you wouldn't believe out there.
Sure.
But it's like you can't be all... But there's like a certain level, like, where every 5 minutes, like, oh, I need coffee. Oh, like, and... Actually, one of the girls that I had known, she put down, like, I'll pay $10 for somebody to run me over. I'm like, why the fuck would you write that and put that up on there? Like, I mean, I write some pretty silly shit and I put it up on there. But, I mean, that's like, so, like, there's a certain flavor of attention seeking that's, like, ridiculously sad.
Well, there's a brokenness. I think everybody has a brokenness. They have that one thing that just that's never going to be sated. And though we get better as we grow into adults, when we're at our weakest points, like, those come out. And I think it's a lot easier. You see it in women, you'll see it with, nude pictures are very vulgar because they want that attention that they're not getting, regardless of whether or not they have a good husband or whatever at home. It's that they need that extra attention. There's something that they never got and they just need it. And it's not because they don't love their husband or any of that stuff. They just need that extra, like, validation from the internet. And I think that that's where we're going to be in a weird thing in this next generation, right? So I'm 40 years old. How old are you?
I'm 43. I'm 3 years older than you.
Okay, so we're in the same thing. So you and I grew up, we went to college, and we realized that our friends did not give a shit about us in high school. Like, we thought they did, but they really didn't. You know, one or two stuck around, but most of them disappeared. The generation like my daughter, she's never going to lose these friends, quote unquote, because she's got Facebook or Snapchat or whatever. Mm-hmm. So they're still interacting, but she doesn't get that reality that, no, not everyone there is there for you. So they have this false sense of connectedness that's not real, and they know it's not real. That's why, you know, they avoid Facebook and all these other things. There's this disconnect there that it's not real, and they keep looking for something to real. That's why there's so much identity issues with teens these days, in my opinion. Yeah. Trying to figure out that of who I am and what's going on, and we've made it with social media to, you can drill it down to be as unique as you want to be. You can find your little group, but the negative of finding that little group is you sometimes forget that there's all these other people out there that you don't know how to interact with because you found your little group.
Yeah, I agree. Like, it's like I try not to do the echo chamber so much. Like, I want to have the comfortable thing of my tribe, right?
Right, sure.
But I have people from my tribe from all different walks of life, different political affiliations, et cetera, et cetera. I don't unfriend people for anything of those. You know, because I like want to have an idea of how the world works with people.
Yeah.
You know, like the differences of opinion, and instead of us going and passive aggressively screaming at each other on the internet, it's like, okay, I see this, I see that. More of an observer of human interaction. And one of my friends, also fans, like was talking to me. It's like, I don't know how you do it, but you get it down right. And I realized that I kind of actually, how the journey with Demon Bitch was weird, because with Demon Bitch it was like, it started off with personal monsters, and I had just moved to LA. We all have that story. I just moved to LA and met a bunch of assholes. You do. And I was really
there, but I've heard of it.
Yeah, right. So I was pissed, and I admit that I was angry. So I make it a joke, but it is kind of true. Like, I felt murderously pissed. It was like, either go to jail for murdering these dicks, or you make a book about it. So I really honestly started off with a pissed off book. I was pissed off. I was upset. I was angry. But I was like, but people were conversely, and I was noticing this too, like, even the nicest people were telling you, oh, just get over it. Oh, just put it behind you. Oh, this. But it's like, they don't tell you how. Right. So it's like, other than if you're saying, I'm really fucking angry, I'm so pissed, I want to beat her ass or something. Right. And you're not going to, you're just angry. I feel like I want to beat her ass or something. And then this person, and then they just say, well, you know, this anger, it's going to make you really upset and everything. And I'm like going, and then I just was like, you know what? One day I was just so pissed. I was like, fuck all this. So I drew the most meanest shit. I didn't even think about it. I just drew it out. And then I wrote titles under it. And I just thought I would make a bunch of prints out of it. And one of my good friends said, you need to make this into a book.
Sure.
So I made it into a book. It was very popular. And I said, okay, we're doing this. And then Demon Bitch came out of that universe of personal monsters from that person and a group of the women, because it was like, you know, these women kind of fucked with me in my life. So, what the problem is, I've noticed, is that it's not the damage that they just do to you that's bad enough, but what our society is like how we deal with anger. It's like, well, we have to deal with it like fucking Korn or Pearl Jam. But, you know, when you say you're really angry or you hate somebody, that's really terrible, and you shouldn't do that. And you should really, like, deal with that before it lets you go. I have noticed people with anger issues tend to shove it down, and then it comes out. I am not saying that you should go off the handle as soon as you're pissed off with somebody and punch them in the face. No, I'm not saying that at all. But you need to kind of work through it and say, I'm really angry. I feel like doing this. And you have to be honest with your anger.
Right.
And that's how I felt about with Demon Bitch. So I just drew these really silly things. I would remember the shit that they would say to me, and I just write it down. And even some of the critics have said, that's like the weirdest shit that I've ever, like, read about Demon Bitch. Like, what is there something wrong with you or something? I said, no, this is exactly shit that they said to me. That's why I'm laughing, and it's ridiculous. So, yeah, so it's like Demon Bitch.
We got deep there. We got deep, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, and but the thing is that you have to, because if you don't, you're kind of, I'm just gonna, so it's like, if you can't, if you're not, like, you have to, I'm a person that's actually pretty pragmatic about this. you have to really acknowledge the problem before anything.
Right.
And I don't know, with women, I don't know, we have a sense of pride or something where we kind of ram it down. It's like, you shouldn't have that guy you shouldn't have let him, like you're hurt by him, etc. And like, okay, stop with that fucking zero-sum game shit, okay? Maybe the guy's a jerk, who knows? But right now it's important about your feelings and focus on them. Like, you should go through, it's like, I really loved him, I was angry, is that something that we can talk about? Is that something, I'm pissed that I feel invalidated, whatever. Just be honest about how you feel. If you feel like, I just want to be hit by a fucking car, like, it's okay to feel that, at least acknowledge to yourself, this is how I feel. And then, and then when you deal with it, you're done. Like, that is forgiveness. Sometimes I've realized forgiveness is not, oh, I totally forgive you with a lightness and purity of my heart. Sometimes it's like, I don't give a shit about you. It's like, if you get hit by a car, fine, just don't bother me. And that's sometimes what forgiveness is. It's like, but you have to work up to it.
Your existence doesn't piss me off anymore. You're welcome.
Yeah, it's like, all right, just don't you bother me, kid. Go away. That type of thing. Just get out of here. I don't like you. And sometimes you will probably go through a period where you hate somebody for a number of years. And I think that's perfectly fine to express. And again, but I notice also people that do fucked up things like stalking and burning their cars and shit. Usually it's kind of like they shove it deep down inside. And it's like, no, you can't do that.
Yeah, I come from a very fucked up household. My parents were both drug addicts, heavy drug addicts. My dad was in and out of prison a little bit. My mom was a recovering alcoholic, which has its own problems, because when you're recovering from alcoholics and you try to get away from them, you find a new addiction in AA and men and trying to live your life, and then your kids are just trying to figure out where it's stuff. So, especially when I write, I have this heart for broken people, because I've sat with them. I've sat with alcoholics and drug addicts, sat in the same room with them as a child, at 17, 18, being the smarter guy in the room, because I've always been very socially intelligent and kind of trying to understand their story and have a heart for them and have a heart for their brokenness. Yeah. And that, I think it really helps me, when I'm writing like a comic like Broke Down, where I have these broken characters and showing their redeeming qualities and what they're about. Yes, they're criminals. Yes, they're stuff, but why did they get into this life? Why do they feel that this is the best course of action versus a day-to-day job? I'm very empathetic to that and where it comes from.
Yeah. I mean, I think also, too, we have to understand, and I mean, I've gotten this from people both mentally. I mean, I've suffered from depression myself. And I think there has to be a thing, well, we have to be good to each other. And sometimes I think with people that have mental illness, they're excused from being good people. And because, they don't know what they're doing. And it's like, no, some of them do. And some of them know that they're being assholes. And I'm not saying that, because you're broken and you're not perfect, that makes you an asshole. No. But when you're doing obviously abusive behavior, it's like, no, you don't get to damage other people. You don't get to damage other people because you feel bad, if that makes sense. That's the big thing that I hate, because it's like sometimes when they go that, I understand, like, I think even a woman, I'm trying to remember what her name was, but she wrote a thing like, if you do this type of self-care, you're an asshole. And she had severe anxiety. And she was talking about how she would just cancel dates with friends on the fly, because I need to take care of myself, self-care. And she said, if you do that all the time, you are an asshole. Because you cannot realistically expect people to do the thing and be your friend, because you got to be there for them too. Right. And she says, you got to take care of yourself. Like, she says, it is amazing. Like, I still take my anxiety meds, but how I need to eat right, exercise, and go out and do things, that does a world for me. It doesn't cure my anxiety, but it helps. It helps a lot. And that helps with the panic attacks and all that. And you just kind of have to schedule it and be aware of yourself before you commit to others. So that's a form of self-love. And a lot of people that are life coaches and all that, they're all like that. It's not that you are absolving, if you're a healthy life coach or anything, you're not absolving the other person of what they do. It's more of sometimes they vibe off you too. You have to understand that too. Like, you can't underestimate that. Like this one woman, she had gotten divorced. She had a marriage and it was okay. But she wasn't happy. She saw things that were not okay in her, like, because they came from a position of having a dysfunctional childhood, like not quite like yours, but having that emotionally dysfunctional childhood, like where parents like were abusive to each other. They'd scream at each other. It was not mature conflict resolution, so they'd start fighting and shit. So she realized in her marriage, like, I realized like I would shop a lot to kind of quell the pain. I would pretend to be happy and I wasn't. And even though my husband was at the time was not a bad guy, he was a good guy, it was just okay. And she realized, like, there's all these things within myself that I need to fix. And I think I need to step away. Now, this is not her being selfish and saying, well, I just need to change myself. Bye. Goodbye to marriage, blah, blah, blah. It wasn't like it was a light thing, but she just realized this is going to make both of us miserable. This is going to make everybody hurt. I need to do the thing, step away and take care of myself. And she did get married to a guy whom she loves very much and has the relationship she wants. But she co-parents very well with her ex-husband, you know. And their kids are healthier for it. She has a kid by the new husband and a kid by the other husband, the ex-husband. But it's healthier now. The dynamic is better. She is in a better place now to be the best mother and parent, plus her own self at the same time. And she says, yeah, I wished I could have done that way before that, but for what the things are now, I am in a great place now. This is my life now. It's great. But she says, like, in my old days, I would have been pissed off. I would have been petulant at him for working, blah, 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 and all this other stuff. And it's not like she wasn't giving him his shit, but she was saying, okay, for me, what I can control is me. And she's like, I would play these games. It's like, no, we're done with that. This is coming from a place where I'm not enough. We're stopping this now. So I have to hand it to her. I mean, and in a lot of people, it's not a lot of people can do that because they're so into the outside world. It's like weird. We lived completely in our heads, but we are totally fixated on the outside world in very unhealthy dichotomies, rather than saying, okay, well, for me inside, why do I feel this way? Why do I feel abandoned? Why do I feel this? And sometimes it's just a simple walkthrough. And again, it's not all the time, but I've noticed a lot of my issues have been cleared up if I just kind of walk through them like, okay, I'm done. They just need to be acknowledged. But again, you know, I mean, with therapy, if you have a great therapist and stuff, that can do it too. I'm a total advocate of that. But I think introspection is makes for a much healthier society. And sometimes I think we get distracted by, ooh, shiny things around the world, or how fucked up am I? Doesn't help.
Right. I think that the solution, you know, we got to figure out what's wrong with us and acknowledge some of that stuff and not use it as a weapon, because some people use their brokenness as a weapon, right?
Yeah.
I found out this brokenness about me and now it's a weapon, and now you can't do this because I'm hurt because of this. Yeah. And it sucks for everybody involved, because the person who's being attacked, who's saying that, you know, hey, you're attacking me, this is my brokenness, how dare you, don't understand, you don't know where I came from, all that stuff. But I can never get through and get closer to you if you don't allow me to work through that or walk through that. You know, we don't want to self-avow. We don't want to admit that there's no quick fix to these things. You know, there's a heart condition that everybody has, you know.
Yeah.
My personal one is, you know, if we want to get super deep, like, I am never enough. It's probably because of my family. You know, my parents really just wanted me to shut up and stay in a room so they could do drugs, you know. So I'm never enough, and it doesn't matter, like, how good of a husband I am, how good of a comic creator I am, how fast I fund on Kickstarter, all that stuff. It's never going to be enough for me. And it's really hard. It's really frustrating, especially to my wife, you know, because I'm like, you are enough. This is just a messed up thing with me that I'm trying to figure out. Mm-hmm. And I'm always trying to do better and do that next thing and trying to figure out that. When really it's just me accepting that I am enough and to go through that. But, you know, you get me outside of my comfort zone for a minute, I can't think right. Like, it's going to go wonky.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's true on a bit. And also, I would like to add, maybe also you saw your parents do physical manifestations of not being enough. Like, people often get into drug use. It's because to fulfill something or to kill some pain about something about themselves. I mean, and again, this is like barring addiction or whatever, but just when people get into drugs, it's usually that. It's like, let me kill the pain for right now.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
And that's when it starts. And again, this is barring for anybody that has to take stuff for pain or anything. But even then, that's a little bit of a separate type of addiction on its own. That's more of like, I'm in pain and I need to feel normal. But, I mean, that's also kind of like how when you talk about emotional pain, it's like numbing. If I don't feel anything, that's normal, right? That's better. That's at least an optimal situation instead of facing the demon. And you probably saw examples of that and behavioral examples of that from your parents. I'm guessing, because
Yeah.
like for me, my parents held me to a high standard, which I don't think is bad for children. But when you keep moving the bar around, it sucks. It's frustrating.
Well, and kids, now that I'm a parent and I have 3 kids, I realize that there's nothing I can do, right? My daughter, who's 17, saw me go through a divorce, saw me change my whole life and who I am. She grew up with me versus my son, who's 10 months old. They're going to see 2 different parents, right? The way I address them and stuff. You always look at these people. Well, it wasn't fair. You judged, Billy differently than me. Why? It's because we learned and we tried to figure it out. We realized, hey, we messed up here, we didn't mess up there, and just trying to figure out those balances. There is no way that you can raise a kid without fucking them up in some direction. It's just the way it is.
I mean, the thing is that even the best parents have kids with issues.
Right.
I mean, and it's ultimately sometimes what the kid chooses. Like, I've met people who raise their kids with plenty of love and wonderful things, and they were great. Oh, new comments. I'm so sorry, guys. Hold on. This did not scroll up because Facebook is sometimes a bitch.
Comments are good. And
yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. Sorry. Hi, Bria. Hi, this. Love the drawing. Thank you, Rose. Thank you, Brian. I'm sorry. I did not mean to ignore you. It says like Facebook doesn't automatically scroll down the comments, so I apologize just really quick. I didn't mean to do that. But yeah, it gets you thinking if Fred Rogers died. Yeah. I mean, the thing is that I actually watched this really interesting thing. Like, one of my friends showed me something. Let me look at the video. It's called something about heaven. And by the way, I'm not trying to wax religious, but it's kind of an interesting way.
I'm a part-time pastor, so you're good.
Oh, you're a part-time pastor. Okay, then there you go.
Which is really interesting since I have a book with lots of fucks and things. I'm a very liberal pastor.
I don't think that's bad. It's called Mean People Don't Actually Have Any Faith. And it's by News from Heaven. One of my friends just sent it. But it's not like, oh, mean people or this. It talks about... And you can even, if you're an atheist, you could relate to it. I'm not an atheist personally, but you could see how on a philosophical level, like they say, well, how can we see people of faith do fucked up things to people? And they're talking about there has to be a level of caring. Like, I want to do good. And then the thing of, like, I have faith that it is true. Like, the path I'm on is true. This isn't aside from any ego. So, like, he was explaining it, and I have to watch it again, because it was like a deep concept. It was simple, but it was deep. But he was saying that doctors, like, let's say you have a doctor, you go in, we probably had doctors like this, you walk in, and they're like all, oh yeah, and they're not paying attention to you, they don't really hear you, they may have a lot of knowledge, but then they're like, they don't pay attention to you, and they give you the medication or the treatment you don't need, or it's not good for you. On the other hand, on the side of the spectrum, you have a doctor that really cares, but they have no knowledge or experience, and that's bad, because they can still harm you. But if you have a doctor that's all there, really listening to you, has the background, has the knowledge you need, and says, hey, Christopher, how's it going? Then you can go, and you have the best course of action. Right. So when he was saying about mean people not having any faith, he was talking about mean people going on their ego, saying, well, I believe in this, but it's not any interest to go and do good or do anything. And I don't mean like even for themselves, like I want to be better somehow. And they just go on this faith, well, this will get me to what I want. Then you have that shitty person that supposedly has faith, mean to people. And I'm oversimplifying it, but how he explains it, it's really good. So it's something I'll throw you I can throw you the link of that. It's really cool. It's a great concept.
Yeah, I study that stuff. Like one of my favorite writers is Ryan Holiday. So Ego is the Enemy. I don't know if you've ever read that book. It's fantastic. Mm-hmm. Have you read that?
I haven't read that one. No.
So what's about is it talks about how our ego, though it's this thing that makes us successful and gets us to that next level, it's also the thing that hurts us the most. It talks about like how the New England Patriots can go and win Super Bowl after Super Bowl versus other teams that come one time and then they're never even close. It's basically the mindset. It's how and he used a lot of analogies on how it works. Like, do you know that the guy who created the DeLorean, he was warned so many times that it wasn't going to work, and he just needed that to be a win. He needed the DeLorean to be a successful car. It got so bad that he opened so many franchises. He was over under that he started shipping drugs, the DeLoreans, into the States. Mm-hmm. Massive amounts of drugs because he just needed the win. And it really talks about figure out where your ego is, what causes your ego, is it a healthy ego, is it not, and how do you address that?
Yeah.
It's really an interesting, synopsis.
Yeah. I'll have to take a look at that. We'll have to trade links on that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's weird because it's like with Demon Bitch and Personal Monsters, mostly Personal Monsters. I just wrote a funny, mean book that I thought would be hilarious to people. Then I realized, like, just from my own anger and pain, because what I would do is that I would have anger and pain. Hey, Christopher, how's it going? I would have anger and pain, but I didn't want to turn it inward anymore,
Right.
I didn't want to ram it down like a good girl, okay? That's not what a good girl does. In fact, that's what a lot of bad girls do, quote unquote.
Right.
Like, they just lash out and they don't resolve their own inner issues. And they make people responsible. They make them take the payment for it, which is not okay. So I thought I wrote a pissed off book that would make people laugh. And it turned out that so many people resonated with it. I had one woman at Comic-Con cry in front of me because she read the Inner Critic. She started crying. This is me. This is me. And I'm like, it still touches me to this day because I wrote a book that seemed to break the rules. Like, everybody's saying, don't write that book. It's fucking mean. You should just let it go. I wrote it, and guess how much it helps people? Because people say, I felt this way. And I think people kind of need to have something to let them know, to assure them they're not fucked up. Because you have everybody else telling them, you are. Even their friends, even their family, even people that are supposed to love and protect them. They do this. It sucks. Even like they even say in like a lot of life coaches or law of attraction or whatever people, like I've looked at it all over. Sometimes your closest friends and family are the worst people to talk about your dreams to because they'll find a way to talk you out of it, which is shit. Right. And yeah, and it's just like I wrote a pissed off book, and even Demon Bitch, people like even guys are going like, this is funny, not because they want to ridicule women, but they're like, yeah, women are pretty terrible to each other, and I'm trying to figure girls out,
Right.
And it's not like they think girls are terrible, but it's like, what can I understand behind this? Why isn't my wife, like as you were talking about your wife, like, why does my wife hate women this much? Why does my sister have such problem with other girls? And then they see it and they're like, oh, wow, that's bad, But in a way, it doesn't make them hate women. It just makes them go like, I understand the whole spectrum of where you're coming from now, which is interesting because, I think I remember this one life coach, Robert Zink, was saying there is such a thing as toxic masculinity, but there's also toxic femininity.
Right.
There's always a duality, like healthy femininity and healthy masculinity. They're both nurturing. They're both protective in their own ways. They're both awesome. But when you have the toxic version, it's extremely destructive.
Yeah.
I mean,
no, absolutely right.
Yeah. So.
Any good comments that we need to respond to?
Right now on my end, if you have are you still running the watch party? Because I'm trying to open up
I'm running a watch party, but I'm not having it open because I didn't set it up before we started, so the sound is yelling.
Right now on my end, if you have are you still running the watch party?
I don't want the sound to display.
No, I get you. So what it is that I have this, Brian was there, I acknowledged him. Sorry, Brian, as I said, initially, like when you do Facebook, it won't scroll down. It'll scroll down a little bit, and then it'll be like, and all of a sudden you have 19 comments. You're like, oh, fuck, sorry, guys. Wasn't ignoring you, because I was like going, why isn't it scrolling down? Spider-Man saved Travis. Loved the drawing. So, buy a Mack truck, and all this stuff. Let me see. But yeah, I mean, sometimes we just need to mock the people that are fucking assholes to you.
Right.
Not all the time, and and as I said, it's not because you don't want to go and be... It's like, okay, you can't respond with meanness, but you definitely have to cool down. But yeah, there's sometimes... And what I don't like right now in our society, at least the friends that I used to have, is like, well, this is the universal answer. You need to go and just do this all the time and everything will be great. No, there's a personal thing. I mean, you're a pastor. It's like you have discernment, called judgment, called intuition, called gut feeling. If you feel that you need to respond a certain way to a situation, not what your ego or monkey mind thinks of, like, let's beat their ass, but at the bottom it's like in your gut going like, not okay with this at all. I need to say something.
And that's what makes me unique, because I'm liberal, so I go to a lot of big pastors' meetings, and they're very supportive of Trump and all these things, and I go, well, but we have this book that says all these other things that don't align with that, and you guys are aligning with this part of the book. I'm aligning with this, They can both be true at the same time. You have to admit that.
Yeah.
So how do we resolve that? And that's a real hard thing for anybody who's leading a congregation to come up with. That, wow, like if we are built by a creator who made all of us, we are all made to think different ways. How do we resolve that? Because there is a solution to have us all resolve everything. And for me, coming from the background that I have, I always choose a side that I think is going to help the most people every time. And I don't care about the repercussions if it helps more people. And it's really hard for them to wrap their head around that stuff. And I was like, but that's what Jesus did. He didn't go, hey, what's your tax return? Do you need this food? Where are you at with your W-2s? I need to make sure that you actually need all this food before I feed you. Or this healing comes with this cause. No, he just went and did it and called it a day.
Yeah. I mean,
because it's not my job to figure that out.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that also, like, people contend, oh, Jesus was one side of the aisle or another. I said, guys, you have to understand, he came at a time where people were trying to figure shit out.
Right.
And whether or not you believe in him, and you can look at it that way or not.
It's kind of irrelevant, really, for this conversation.
Yeah, I mean, but, like, you have to look at it. It's like, okay, what can we see past the surface? Now, granted, there are some people that are drug addicts that are total pieces of shit. But then there are some people that are drug addicts that honestly made a fucking mistake. And they're not bad people. It really depends on who it is. Like, it's like when they say only God can judge. It's not that, you shouldn't have any judgment of your own. We all will judge. That's it. But it's like, how do we judge? Where do we judge from is important. Like, if you feel deep down inside, even though you're talking to a guy who's a father of 4, and he seems all right, but there's something about him is not quite right, listen to that. Sure. But then again, it depends on the person, it depends on the thing, depends on the situation. Like, sometimes, I've had to get into a fight with somebody because something in me was like, no, you are not standing for this. But there are times, like, when people have said harsh words to me and I've just said, you know what, fuck off. I walked away because it wasn't worth it for me to do.
Well, you gotta figure out a way to protect your peace. That's one of the things that my wife has really put in me. Like, I'm one of those guys who, if I see someone hurting, like, I'll sit with them and try to figure out their stuff and figure out their story, because I have a natural love for people. Yeah. Even if I don't agree with them, I just love people. That's a thing for me. But at some point, if I put myself out too much, what is the cost, right? Does it cost me relationship with my daughter because I'm trying to save the world out there? All of those have to be factored in. Those are things that, we have to think of before we take these risks. So, yes, we do want to solve all the world problems, but what can we do in our little circle? And is it enough that it doesn't hurt your way of life or who you want to be?
And I think, too, you have to kind of look at it from the ego standpoint, because, again, I'm not speaking personally to you, but I'm just thinking, like,
you're good.
Some people, like, they think when they save the world, I got to do all this stuff to make it happen. It's like, yes, but the world is full of individuals. Right. And the thing is that what makes you think that what's your vision of the world is what this person wants? And the thing is that does it fit them? And the thing is that I think they talk about things like as above, so below, things like that. They do talk about thinking too that, like, it's kind of like, if you know the world, you have to know yourself first. Once you know yourself, then you have a better idea of how to relate to other people. Like, I've had people, like, now, like, after I went through surgery, I was so exhausted that even people coming by just to see if I was okay, it was exhausting. And it was like, I was telling them, like, this has nothing to do with you. It's not personal about you. But now I realize why sometimes they go, no visitors. Because just even another person being around me, I was like, I'm trying to and I can't, I'm that worn out. And, it's kind of got me to another level of empathy. But on the same level, I'm like, certain things, I'm like, fuck off. I don't want to deal with it, But I'm yet understanding of things that I wasn't before. Like, things that I think used to piss me off. But then again, the tumor also kind of did something to my system where it made me angrier. I'm not saying that I lashed out in rage to everybody. But I was like, it was like a constant struggle inside, and I think it showed. Like, even my friends, they look at me now, like, there was never anything they thought wrong with me then. But in contrast, they're like, yeah, I could tell you're a lot healthier now. Like, it wasn't just because of the weight loss and everything. it was more of, you look like you have a lot of weight, like not just because you lost weight, but just you're not struggling against things, you're not pushing against things so hard, you're just going like, okay, there you go.
You're not carrying that weight.
Yeah, like you're not dragging this thing that's holding you down. And even though I talked about, exhaustion and stuff with some of my friends, and sometimes it does make me depressed because it's like I'm tired, because on certain levels it hits you. But on a whole, I feel that it's an upward swing because I'm healthier. Like I don't have this in me. But it's weird because, as I said, I have more patience with people now on certain things. But on other things, I just realized I'm not tolerant about this anymore. And this needs to stop. And I'm not okay with it. And I don't care if you're upset about it. It's weird. But, yeah, it's like, it sort of makes me more stronger on my path that I am creating for myself. Or what I'm supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. It's like weird. But, yeah, it's kind of interesting, like, talking, like, what I like about lunch hours is that we end up talking about really meta shit sometimes. Right. Like, yeah, we'll talk about the Kickstarter, we'll talk about this, but sometimes we just need to talk about things, and I like this setting because it's just, we sit there, we're chatting with each other. It's kind of like
I think it's a good avenue to really get to someone's soul and what they're about, more than just, the Kickstarter. Yeah, I have a crime comic, it's great, I've always wanted to write crime comics. Yes, it's impactful, I have a long story and all these things that I want to create, but at the end of the day, that's not who I am. That's just an aspect of who I am. And I'd love people to read this aspect and see if they like it, see if they want to, hear swears and Quentin Tarantino type crime stuff. But at the end of the day, getting to know me and figuring out who I am as a creator is just as important.
Yeah, because it surprises people. Like, I'm trying to remember when like Slayer, okay, let's say that Slayer, fucking death metal Satan band, right?
Yeah.
You find out that one of the lead guys, he's like a Catholic priest or something. He's not a priest, but he's like a staunch Catholic. What are you using to broadcast? Oh, okay. I'll answer that in a minute. But yeah, like, he's a staunch Catholic. And I guess when they interviewed him, they said, "Why'd you create Slayer?" And it's like, yeah, we just wanted to make fun of the devil. And I was like laughing because it's like, it's true. It's like, even now, I know people shit on Joel Osteen, megachurch or whatever, but he says some good points. Like he said, sometimes I call some Christians devil worshippers because they focus more on the devil and what he can do than rather what God can do for them. So if Jesus kicked the devil's ass, essentially, why are you focused on him so much?
Right.
So I think that's actually a good point. It's like, sometimes I have like shirts with Ouija boards and shit on them because I think it's funny,
Right.
I mean, I have a burning church. It says "Stay lit," and then people go like, and they think I'm a total atheist, and it's like, no, I'm not. But I just think it's funny. It's like, it's kind of funny.
Yeah, I don't apologize for anything I do. For my my crime comics and stuff. Yeah, it's not connected to the mainstream church, and I'll probably never. The pastor that I am, and I tell them that their business is impacted through the kingdom. Because there's this lie that tells you that if you don't serve your church in the way the church wants you to, meaning financially, children's ministry, whatever mission in Israel, Africa, whatever they want, that's all that's important. I think that's bullshit. I think God wants us in the marketplace. He showed who we're in the marketplace. So I take people who are in the marketplace, business owners, and I was like, how is your business impacting the kingdom? What are you doing? And that's not just giving donations. It's what is it doing? What's your purpose? How do you influence people who you interact with on a regular basis? And what does that look like to your world? And how does it impact you as a kingdom? Because it's important. Mm-hmm. And I think it's actually more important than people give it credit for, because that's what's going to get us to the next level.
Yeah. Oh, Brian, you were asking what we're using to broadcast. I'm using OBS to actually broadcast it, but Travis and I are on Skype, so you can set up multiple windows if you have multiple monitors, and I'm using Restream to stream to different platforms simultaneously. I have Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook Live. So if you're wondering, that's what it is. OBS is free, Restream is free up to a point, so you can use that, and it's easy to set up. Like, at first it might seem daunting, but it's actually easy. So as a heads up, I'm answering your question. See you, Lawrence, by the way. He said, mental therapy, life theory, and demon bitch Kickstarter. What a concept. Got a dash. He does Real Deal Comics. It's about comics in the ghetto. Have you heard of that?
I have, just because I'm around, but I'm not very familiar with it.
Oh, it's just fucked up. It's just funny. It's about, like, people in the ghetto that are really fucking awful to each other. They kill, stab, and shoot each other. And Lawrence and I, we were talking about it, because he had a friend named Harold McElwee, or they called him H.P. McElwee. He unfortunately passed away in 98. But he was a lot of the stories. And Harold was, like, the nicest, sweetest guy.
Yeah, it's kind of like an 80s vibe, right? Like
it's an 80s vibe.
Okay.
Yeah, it's in the 80s. They drew it during the 80s and 90s. And so it's like now they would be kind of, if you were to do it now, they would be Iraq war vets and stuff. But they're Vietnam vets when they did it back in the day, you know. So what it was is that it's a bunch of people in the ghetto. And it was kind of funny because Harold and Lawrence, like, they knew about that shit. Like, that chaos that people would have in the ghetto, the shit that would bring into their lives, the poverty, the anger, the grinding, you know, the racism that they had to deal with, etc., you know, and the systematic shit that they had to deal with. And they put it into this book, and it's funny. Like, these people do really awful things to other people. Like, they stab them, they shoot them, they're horribly racist. Like, there's this one part where GC, like, and them, they don't do shit. They, like, rob things and steal things. Like, they just get all high and drunk, and they say, oh, let's go next door and beat up some Mexicans and steal their eggs, you know, for breakfast. And you're like, it's awful, right? It's awful. But you find yourself laughing at what they do because it's so fucking awful. It's sort of like this noise and thing, and some people might get mad at me for saying that, but it's like, sometimes when things are just awful, you start laughing. Because it's true. This shit really does happen. And
well, I mean, that's how Rick and Morty makes it, right? That's what they're all about, is they're pointing out, like, very obvious, horrible things, and people love it because we're kind of sick of the kind of PC world. I think that's why we have this Office resurgence, right? Because the Office is just that right enough of not okay humor that's against the PC movement, but not enough to offend people, right? It's that perfect balance. The Office has that perfect balance that we're okay with it without offending. So I think that's why it has such a huge share. Because we want to hear things like that, but it's not like that right now.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that, like, Lawrence and his friend were like that. It's just they see this shit. They saw this shit for real.
Right.
And it's, like, so cartoonishly horrible that you're just like, I can't believe this shit is happening. You know?
Right.
And again, this does not reflect my personal views of people against other people. It's just that you start laughing because it's awful. Like, they go and they kick a pregnant woman in the stomach. You know, if somebody did that in front of me, I'd be obviously horrified. But you start laughing because it's in the world of that thing. It's not that you advocate kicking a pregnant woman in the stomach. You're just like, what the fuck did they just do? You know?
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck did they just do? Like, they just shot up a bunch of, like, people right now, randomly. What the fuck? And it's just done in this way that's, like, ridiculous. But that's the point of it. It's like, it's the point to show you this is the world that we have in this section of humanity, and it's so terrible you can't help but laugh at it. And again,
is there anything that you would not make a joke about in Demon Bitch, or are you open for
I'm pretty open to everything. I mean, it's kind of like what kind of hits my head.
Okay.
You know, I mean, I've had some people get pissed off me about the comic because it's really disgusting.
Right.
I've had people also comment to me, like, some women get really angry with me because they are saying I really hate women. And I'm like, I don't hate women. I'm a woman myself. What are you talking about? I'm just making commentary. I can't make that? Oh, I'm sorry. You know, I didn't know I wasn't supposed to goose step to your whole fucking view of what women should look like. It's like, for us women to be viewed as human beings, I think that's what we're looking at, just as capable as men. We have to accept this is what goes in our world. We have to express that. We have to be real about it. This is what happens. If we want to go and solve a problem, we have to be real about our problems. We can't just go paint somebody into this whole villain and pretend that it's nothing. You know, we have to present real people. Like, these are based off real people. Demon Bitch. You may be like, oh, she's exaggerating. It's like, no, these are people that actually did this shit. But it's like, we're laughing at it because it's ridiculous, but that's how people are. And I think, you know, I mean, for me, for Demon Bitch and everything, it's just, I just do the thing, and it's just like, I just write it how I see it and how I observe it, you know. It's just like, I think that's why I like messed up humor. Like, there's another guy called Johnny Ryan, and he did Prison Pit, and it's really literally about space monster looking convicts going and beating the living shit out of each other, ripping each other apart, and saying really fucked up things.
Right.
I mean, one of them says the F word, and it's like, and one of them says the F word, and it's like going, that's offensive in any other situation, but it's like in that context, prison is not a nice place. He's illustrating that. They're ripping each other's faces off and all this other shit. So it's like, that's what prison is. Even though it's a space prison and it's like got weird technology, it's a space prison. It's a prison. Prison isn't nice. Prison isn't meant to be nice, in that context. It's awful, you know. That's why people don't want to go to prison for the most part. Because it's terrible. So it's like, what are you using to broadcast? Anybody else saying anything? Somebody else posted something. Oh, cool. Oh, nice. Okay. So sorry, somebody was asking. It showed that I posted something, but that was a long time ago. But anyway. So yeah, South Park creator said you can either laugh at everything or laugh at nothing. I would agree. Like, South Park actually does some pretty fucked up shit, and it is funny.
They're funny guys to me. Like, so for me, when I watch them, I'm just like, you are wasting your talent on dick and fart jokes. Because the South Park musical is probably one of the best put together musicals in the world. Take that with Book of Mormon. As a guy who loves musicals, like, and they want to do that, and I'm like, why? Like, you guys are so talented. You have such a unique voice, but it is what it is. Like, I don't understand it fully, but I have a heart. God bless them for what they do, because it's quite impressive.
Well, I think it's like they make a point with dick and fart jokes. Even though it's like dick and fart jokes, they do make actually a very solid point. So it's like some people get pissed at them for, like, I guess the latest one was like the transgender one, but they were proving a point. Like, it's not the issue with transgender people or people that are in the transgender spectrum or whatever you call it. I'm probably fucking that up right now because I got 10 million things on my mind, so I apologize. They weren't even pointing out like the transgender community was an issue. They were saying the assholes that lie about being transgender just to get stuff is fucked up. It wasn't that, and so that's what I thought about that. It's like, unfortunately, yeah, you do have people that are opportunists. Like, unfortunately, you got some people in the Me Too movement that did that shit. And it sucks because it's like, no, sexual assault is a real thing. It's awful. Like, I've known people, I've gone through personal experiences myself. It makes me angry when they say, well, I wrote a letter, but I knew that person did it, but I made it up anyway. I'm like, you fucking bitch. You seriously fucked everything up. Now.
I mean, you have all these things where someone gets away with, they get out of prison because you found out that someone said they raped them and they never did, years later, and you can't press charges on them. It's crazy.
Yeah, and it makes me mad because it's like the Duke rape case. Like, that made me angry because the guy had actual physical evidence that nothing happened. Right. But now those guys, like, their lives are kind of in danger because of that. And there was even video. None of them touched her. Like, none of them touched her. They just, get the fuck out. Like, we don't want to deal with you. And ironically, the woman that did accuse them falsely ended up actually ending up in prison for murder. I think it was first or second degree. Because she stabbed her boyfriend in the chest. Right. It was something like that. So, yeah, you have to laugh at stuff. I mean, as fucked up as it is, it helps you deal. And sometimes, like, it kind of amazes me, like, in some groups where they focus on all the things negative. I'm not saying be in complete denial, but I've noticed a lot of people focus on very mundane things, and they make it into something that's really awful. And then later on they say, I have to deal with anxiety and everything. I said, maybe if you didn't focus on every single minutia what was wrong in your lives, maybe your anxiety would be a lot more manageable, please, Right. Yeah, and it's like the brand new Dave Chappelle special on Netflix was spot on about life these days. I have to watch it. I got to say, I was terrible not watching it.
I've watched all of them, and I love him. I love his perspective and what he's trying to say. He definitely has some unique things to say, which is great.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing about comedy. It's like, it's hard to do comedy anymore because it's like, now everybody's like going, well, that's terrible, you made fun of that. It's like, it's true. It happens. Like, Frank Zappa even ran into some of that shit with some of the songs he wrote. And it's like, well, it exists. What do you want me to do? He got into trouble for that, Sure. So, yeah, it's just like, I understand call-out culture. It's just getting to a point where it's getting ridiculous. Like, oh, you did this one thing wrong. It's like, okay, well, people can change over a period of time. Have they exhibited this behavior repeatedly over a period of time? Right. Did they stop? you know, and then they go like, well, people are so judgmental these days. I said, well, you don't let shit go, guys.
Right.
You let the wrong shit go, but then you let stupid little shit, some stupid shit that they said years ago, go. Like, you don't let it go. Or if they apologize for it, they say, you know what, I did that and I was wrong. Okay. Do you do it anymore? No. You know. I mean,
No.
yeah, so it's like this. But the brand new Dave Chappelle one was pretty cool. Like, I like Dave Chappelle. Like, he did you see the one where he was like the KKK leader and he was he was blind. He was a blind black dude.
Yeah. Have you seen the special where he like talks about like that book, The Guy's Pimping?
No, I haven't. No.
That's a really good one. So yeah, no, I like Dave Chappelle. I like that he has a voice, and that I like that he's even him, like his last special is just about, I can only get away with so many things, but I'm going to push that envelope, because if I don't push that envelope, who is? That's why I love Bo Burnham. I love Bo Burnham, same reason.
Yeah, right. Sorry, I'm just also writing some things for Demon Bitch. I don't know if you see it, but it's I'm doing a cartoon of her at a kissing booth, and it says "kiss me," and then she's marking down like the prices down to free, and she's all mad. Yeah, but it's funny. But I remember watching Delirious. That was pretty funny, with Eddie Murphy in it. I know that's really fucking old. Yeah, Delirious. And I watched Raw. Raw wasn't as good. I think Delirious was better. And I remember watching Dave Chappelle when he had the show. But I'm terrible at catching up with TV sometimes, because it's like what I draw is like synonymous with TV and stuff. You know? Right. So it's like there's that as well. So we're at 1:31. We had a great talk. I don't know if you want to go further, but hey.
Well, I should watch my baby, and I'm having a website. I own a web design company, and we were someone tried to hack us the other day. So
shit!
And now I'm currently actually writing code as we're talking. So which is crazy that so I'm stopping every minute to think about the really intellectual things that we're talking about. So I'm not getting as much done as I should be. But
I've written code before. You have to be in a whole different mindset to write code.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, I'm not even that good at it, to be honest. That's not my specialty. I'm more of the design guy, not the code guy. I'm good, but it's not where I'm definitely right brain, not left brain.
Yeah. So Brian, there's going to be new stand-up Eddie Murphy. That's going to be cool. We're going to have to check that out.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that sounds good.
All right, man. Well, you guys, you have a great day. See you later. Thank you for seeing us for this very entertaining lunch hour.
Let me tell the link, because nobody thought. BrokeDownComics.com if you want to check out the Kickstarter. No, we didn't really talk about it, but that's okay. I'm okay with that.
We ended up talking about a lot of stuff.
Great. Help her get funded. Fund Demon Bitch. If you're watching this because of me, give her $1 or $2. You'll get a very sexy woman pick. It'll be nice.
How could you not kiss her?
Little pasties in the front. It's a gift.
And she smells of sour milk. I mean, what's sexier than that? Chuck just joined. He said, "Oh, great, it's these douchebags." Or he said D-bags, and I'm laughing.
Wow.
Thank you, Chuck.
He's just getting out of control lately. He's a dick.
Yeah, fuck that guy. Just kidding. You saw his review of the book, right? He reviewed the new book.
Oh, did he?
Oh, yeah, it's really hilarious. He's like, all I can say is like, it's fucked up. It's just fucked up. He's just like, and then the cocktail menus that he was talking about was like, he said, I've worked with mixologists. I kind of understand. Like, I think he said he worked in clubs and stuff and bars. He said, this guy knows how to put his stuff together, because like one of the drinks is advertised like it smells pungent and it looks like a cup of semen. So Tony did his job. So it wasn't just a bunch of boozy dumped together. This was just the thing.
Right. That's what it smells like. These are these things.
I drank them all. Before my operation, I drank them all. It was awful. Blame Canada. All right, Brian. Well, you guys, thank you so much. Please help fund. Well, it's already funded, but please give him more money, because he should have more money.
I want to give everyone a keychain. So what I do is I do a car theme. So I had an air freshener once. I had a bumper sticker the next time. And I need to get to the keychain so we can keep building this car, right? Eventually, we're going to get to it where I give you a car. We
That's
just gotta get
brilliant.
to that point.
That's brilliant. That's really brilliant. Yeah. So yeah, go to his Kickstarter, give him more money and stuff. He's funded, but by all means, just take him to the top.
Well, and you
And
can read the whole thing. Like, if
yeah.
you want to just try it out, the whole first issue is on my Kickstarter.
Oh, nice. Yeah. So there you go. What is there to lose? And also, I have the Demon Bitch one. I have not funded yet, but take a look and see. I actually did a Reading Rainbow book club with like Ryland's, Stevens, Russell's, and Madeline's first issues. So please
Oh,
check
wow.
them out too. Yeah, you get them free when you put a tier of $20 or more. That'll automatically go to you, unless you want to opt out or whatever. But they're all
Right.
good books. I've read them, so they're great. So
That's awesome.
okay, you guys. So you guys have it done. You back broke down. Awesome, nice. Yeah, Brian, check out Demon Bitch. Hope you bust a gut. So you guys have a great day, and you get a copy of the book, and I'll sign the tumor too, because there's a picture of my tumor in the book.
It's
So
beautiful.
all right, you guys have a great day. It's wonderful talking to you guys. I had a great time. I hope you did too, Travis.
I did. Thank
And
you.
then so his is pinned on top, and mine's up in the main body of the thing. So you guys have a great day. Bye bye.